and welcome to my journey. I'm entering my 9th decade, and here I am, almost 80 years old, and having spent the last 4 years doing paintings of my life with collage and glitter and feathers and everything that I could think of to make them have life. And some of them have depression and sorrow, and some of them have joy, and some of them have adventures. So I hope you get something out of it because it's been a very healing, therapeutic process for me. Enjoy. Few things are as pure as a toddler. Children experience the world with unfiltered wonder, meeting each day with boundless energy and curiosity. In this painting, I sought to capture that fleeting innocence. The image portrays a young version of myself, surrounded by cherished childhood companions, a rocking horse, a teddy bear, and a baby doll. Each object embodies a distinct facet of innocence. The rocking horse symbolizes childhood naivete and imagination, the teddy bear represents unconditional love and comfort, and the baby doll serves as a reflection of my own vulnerability and purity. Together, these elements form a poignant portrait of innocence now lost. Once I was a joyful toddler, enveloped by toys and the warmth of loved ones. As time passed, that innocence gradually faded, replaced by a world that grew darker and more complex. Yet in this self-portrait, the younger version of myself stands as a quiet reminder that innocence can still exist, even within a complicated world. When I was 6 years old, my mother left for 6 weeks to care for her dying mother. During her absence, I was placed in the care of relatives whose cruelty left a lasting mark. Their words and behavior made me feel worthless and ashamed of my body, planting the seeds for a lifelong struggle with eating disorders and internalized fat phobia. I turned to food for comfort, seeking relief from feelings of abandonment and pain. Though it offered temporary solace, it also reinforced a harmful relationship with my body, one I would not fully understand until much later in my life. I was always labeled the chubby one in the family, and over time, that label shaped my self-worth. This self-portrait serves as a reclamation of my favorite things and a quiet act of defiance. Despite what I was told, I now know that I am worthy of love, care, and happiness. Today, I strive to approach both food and self-image with greater awareness and compassion. This work stands as a testament to where I began and how far I've come. You will notice a jump in the sequence of this self-portrait series, and there is a very good reason for that. I was incredibly unhappy during that time. I remember being a chubby adolescent and feeling like the world was against me. I was always the last to be picked for teams and gym, and I was constantly teased by everyone, bullied, my classmates, my family, and even my friends. I felt like there was no escape from the torture. When I finally did escape, it was into a marriage that ended with me pregnant, heartbroken, and alone. I chose to skip those years in this series. In my classically rebellious adolescence, I met an artist while traveling in Europe and fell in love, or what I believed at the time was love. We married, and I pursued what was then my useful goal of teaching, alongside my imported husband, who eventually revealed himself to be the con artist many had recognized all along. Everyone, it seemed, except my mother and me. After a professional crisis for him, he convinced me to flee the country with him to Switzerland. I was not yet ready to accept the failure of the marriage, and shortly thereafter I became pregnant. Following yet another unsuccessful attempt on his part to earn a living, I returned to my parents' home 6 months pregnant. When I later returned to meet him in Germany, it became clear that the relationship was over. He had taken up with a younger girlfriend. Disheartened and dejected, I went back once more to my parents' home with my tail between my legs and began searching for a new direction, realizing that teaching was not, after all, my calling. 2 years after the birth of my son, at 27, I finally was able to move out of my parents' home. I had saved enough money and had a good job. I felt truly renewed. I'd begun to mend a broken heart, shed the weight of pregnancy and more, and for the first time in a long while felt a sense of physical self-esteem. Posing in a sensual outfit like this was an affirmation of that transformation, allowing me to feel confident, empowered, and genuinely happy. I loved my career as a medical social worker at Century City Hospital, a brand new state-of-the-art institution backed by Beverly Hills physicians and brimming with possibility. I was beginning my second marriage, this time to an intellectual man, a Rhodes Scholar, and he worked at the Rand Corporation. During that time, I went back to school, where I earned a master's degree in social work. This cemented my course for a career of more than 20 years in the healthcare field, where I specialized in oncology and became a founding supporter of hospice care and ran one of the first ones in Los Angeles. I was excited and hopeful for mine and my 5-year-old son's future. Life does present its challenges, though, as 4 years into my marriage, my husband was diagnosed with a giant brain aneurysm. We immediately packed up and went to Northern California, where he'd get the specialized surgery that he needed. Turning lemons into lemonade, I transformed my obsession with food into my own catering business. During this time, I also founded the Women's Culinary Alliance in Los Angeles, an organization dedicated to celebrating and supporting women in the food service industry. My work soon caught the attention of producers at one of Los Angeles' first cable television channels, who offered me a weekly segment featuring cooking and restaurant reviews. After 11 years together, my husband and I made the decision to part ways. This photo was taken while I was caring for my husband after his brain surgery and managing our blended family of 3 teenage boys largely on my own. Things unraveled quickly. My son's older stepbrother introduced him to alcohol and drugs, and to my distress, began verbally threatening me. My 12-year-old son followed his stepbrother's lead but went further. He began to physically abuse me. It was a very dark time. I turned to food and cooking as a familiar coping mechanism, and my weight climbed to over 200 pounds. As the pounds increased, so did my feminism, which became a vital source of strength as I faced these challenges. Living in a home overwhelmed by testosterone pushed me to seek out women-centered spaces and support. That search became a catalyst for my involvement with Sojourn Battered Women's Shelter and the Women's Building, where I found community, purpose, and a deeper commitment to advocacy. During the divorce process, I joined Overeaters Anonymous, lost 85 pounds, and took up salsa and swing dancing. This photo captures a high point from that period, where I won a gold medal in a salsa dancing competition. I have always loved dancing. It's about as sporty as I get, so receiving this award meant a great deal to me. I continue to dance at 80 and love it. During this time, I also began attending and finding solace and spiritual connection at Reverend Michael Beckwith's Agape Church services being held at the Miramar Hotel in Santa Monica. Within a few years of my divorce, my life fell apart. My son died by suicide after struggling with addiction for many years. He entered rehabilitation 4 times, completing 3 and beginning a 4th that he was unable to finish. I was left with a depth of grief beyond anything I had known. It felt as though I had lost all of my identities at once: mother, social worker, wife, and community activist. With the guidance of 3 different therapists, I was led to the Esalen Institute, where I began finally to face and process my pain. One of my jobs at Esalen was pulling weeds in the garden, where I could watch the waves roll in. Spending time there helped me understand that grief too comes in waves, sometimes calm and manageable, other times overwhelming but always moving. I worked through much of my grief by creating art, sitting with my heaviness and hopelessness, participating in workshops and therapies, and allowing myself to paint, cry, yell, and dance until some relief emerged. It was there that I discovered my passion for art. The process was profoundly cathartic, offering me a healthy way to move through unbearable pain. I held a ritual to honor my son's death and my own birth as an artist. This photo, taken during my 4th and final year at the Esalen Institute, offers a glimpse into the beginning of my love for costuming. I had emceed the staff week review, enjoyed every minute of it, and vowed to make costume work a lasting part of my artistic practice. Shortly after this photo was taken, I traveled to Maui, where I met and fell in love with my 3rd and most wonderful husband, and eventually moved there to be with him after being evacuated from a fire. Meeting him marked another turning point in my life, one for which I remain deeply grateful every day. Still the community-minded social worker, I became involved with several nonprofit boards on Maui. I was enjoying life again. Another turning point during my first year there came when I took a stand-up comedy workshop. It challenged me to find humor in the worst thing that had happened in my life, the loss of my son. Many of the women I met in that workshop remain close friends more than 30 years later. The love of my husband, along with living in paradise, creating art, creating a home, hosting parties, organizing fundraising events, carried me into a happier and more peaceful chapter of life. This piece recreates a mask originally made from a previous self-portrait, my public face. The exercise was to capture my public image. I then chose to make it into a mask. I love the exaggerated features because they reflect my own personality. At times I feel as though my personality itself is exaggerated, and this work captures that feeling perfectly. In 2017, at the height of my mermaid obsession, I organized a festival celebrating my love of mermaids and performance and costumes. I'd been painting mermaids since I moved to Maui, and the Mermaid Extravaganza became a joyful space to showcase my work. I took on the role of the mermaid crone and had an absolute blast on stage along with all the other mermaids. I held a mermaid costume contest, one for adults, one for children, and had judges, with the mermaids contestants being carried in by great big bodybuilders because, as you know, mermaids have a large fin and cannot walk. As you may have noticed, I have a fondness for eccentric, fun eyeglasses. A fellow artist friend gifted me this wild pair a few years ago, and of course, they are dominantly red. I love pairing bold eyeglasses with equally playful hats, and this one is covered in glitter as well. I took a bit of artistic license with the collaging in this piece, and I can honestly say it's one of my favorites in the series for so many reasons. These are, in fact, my most outrageous glasses. A friend spotted them and insisted I go try them on, and unfortunately, I quickly discovered that I had to have them. My love of gold is evident in my use of gold leaf in the painting. The dress made in Hawaii became one of my favorites during the COVID pandemic, so I couldn't resist including that detail as well. I truly love to dress up and enhance my ensembles with the fun, eclectic accessories I've collected over the years. Within months of my beloved's passing, I took this photograph wearing a shirt I had bought for him in Rome during our trip together in 2014. The snake, a recurring motif in my work, was originally printed on the shirt, but I chose to extend it beyond the fabric and into the background, layering it with images of him and of us. My grief is visible in my face and the tears that fall heavily. This was a time of profound devastation that I didn't know if I'd come out of. More than 2 years after my beloved's passing, light, color, and hope have begun to return. This image reflects that shift, a quiet turning towards brightness after a long season of darkness. Reclaiming my innocence and igniting my sparkle. My joie de vivre has returned. As I prepare for my 80th turn around the sun, I find myself reflecting on the extraordinary journey I have been fortunate enough to travel. Guided by remarkable mentors and teachers, shaped by lovers and friends, defined by both love and loss. I have faced challenges that often reveal themselves in time as opportunities for growth. Growth is rarely easy and often painful. They said no pain, no gain may not always be true, but in many chapters of my life, it certainly has been. Now at this stage, possibly the final chapter, I can honestly say I have no regrets. I have lived fully and embraced the privilege of a vast array of experiences, adventures, and worldwide capers. I have said yes often and taken risks and followed my curiosity wherever it led. Along the way, I've come to believe deeply in the power of meditation, stillness, and quiet. These practices have given me a greater inner resources, helping me endure life's inevitable challenges while cultivating patience, compassion, and grace. There was an aha moment for me while walking alone on a beach in Maui, when a difficult truth softened into something resembling a gift. I realized that if my only son had not died, I would never have come to Maui. I would not have met my beloved husband nor experienced the profound rebirth that followed. This understanding did not diminish the grief, nor did it excuse the loss, but it allowed space for meaning to coexist with sorrow. Words cannot fully express my emotional gratitude for the wondrous people who have taught me, supported me, and loved me through nearly 8 decades of living. I am deeply thankful for each of them. I feel the mantle of grief lifting, not disappearing, but loosening. I welcome the return of joy while knowing that loss will always be part of the human experience. Still, I choose joy. I choose sparkle. I choose to remain open, curious, and alive to what is. And so here I am, reclaiming innocence, igniting my sparkle, and stepping forward with gratitude, grace, and a full heart.